Upgraded my MetaMask SAC wallet to Treasure. Good job. And everyone, you should be, I mean, I guess it's not financial advice, but I do recommend you imprinting seed words into metal. You can do it cheaply with getting some like washers and a bolt. You know, you get these like hex bolts, which is kind of funny, called hex bolts. You just put some washers on there after you pound in your seed words. And also, it's if you're using a passphrase, keep that separate. If you're using like a hardware wallet, because it's always good to have your backup. Because some people think you just need like your Trezor or whatever, and you don't keep a backup. But if your Trezor ever gets like broken or something, and you don't have the seed words, you don't have. If you don't remember them, you can't restore it to a new Trezor or something like that, or a new wallet, whatever you want to do. So I do recommend you put it in something or in somewhere safe. There's also like you can also use Shamir secret sharing, and it's super easy to do if you use the Trezor Model T, which I actually gave away a Trezor Model T just like a week or two ago. You know, if you follow me on Twitter, how have I not plugged my Twitter yet? If you're watching this and you're not following me on Twitter, that's where like most of my activity has been for the past few months. Got like 23K on there now, which is good. And this is during the bear market. You know, we're growing in the bear market. It's great. But K4K Crypto on Twitter, there's lots and lots of ways to store your crypto, but Shamir secret sharing is pretty nice because you can kind of split it up into several different locations without having the risk of like, oh, if one gets found, I'm screwed. Because like what some people do is they'll make multiple copies of their full seed words, and then they split that up or something, and then they just have multiple because they don't want to have like just one. And then if someone ever finds that, they have all of it. So Shamir secret sharing allows you to have like you can split it up in multiple areas, and then if like you only need some out of the total, and it allows you to restore your thing. It's really easy to do. I have a video on it, Shamir secret sharing for Trezor Model T. So if you that's really easy to do. Oops, there we go. But yeah, I do giveaways on Twitter and stuff, and you know, gave away some Model 1s. And we even did 100,000 hex giveaway, which was like at the time it was like $14,000. Definitely follow the channel. Check out K4K Crypto on Twitter. Hex liquidity getting thicker and thicker over the years to come. Yeah, just like anything, I think it'll get thicker. Like there'll be more dollars in the pool, and probably less hex as price goes up. But I guess it could just both rise along with price. So, but yeah, most thing like hexes continually increase like liquidity and volume and stuff like that. Obviously, it's gone down during the bear market, but if you look from like the beginning, it's a trend upward. It's just kind of a common thing with growing coins. Hello, sir. How many pulsex do you think is a good bag? 1 billion is a good bag? That's a good bag. Yeah. Just think about the total supply, and like I think it's really good to visualize like the leagues. Also, just look at like just think about it this way. Look at what percent of the Ethereum supply like how much that is worth now, and how much can you get of Pulse is a man. I don't want to do any math. There's like 100 trillion. There's like 130 trillion Pulse, and so if you have a billion, well, just say you have a trillion, you basically have almost 1% of the supply. So say you got to a trillion, and then just, I guess, divide that by 1,000, you get a billion. If you have 1% of the supply of Ethereum, how much money is that? And then just think about like how much has it gone up from the bottom? Okay, it went up like 16,000x or whatever, from 30 cents or 15 cents if you count from there, up to 5,000. And so you're like, all right, so in that amount of time, like 5 or 6 years, it did this amount of X. And if I have this amount of percent, and I multiply it by this dollar amount, you can basically figure out kind of if it goes on the trajectory of Ethereum, how much money you'd be looking at. That's one way to do it. So yeah, you don't really need me to tell you how much is a good amount. I would just kind of compare it to what percent of pulsechain or of Ethereum would I be happy with holding in like many years. It's still a long-term play, but like it's getting Ethereum at 30 cents was a way better deal than buying it at like 500 or even $80 like years later. It's riskier, of course, because you're like, oh, people are going to call it a scam, just like they did Ethereum. Everyone in Bitcoin called Ethereum a scam. I wouldn't be surprised if everyone in Ethereum calls pulsechain a scam when they see a bunch of users going over there, and they don't like that because that means less Ethereum demand, because we're going to be having people trading Ethereum assets on pulsechain because it's cheaper and less crowded. So that's like the killer app. Pretty excited about that. Yeah, everything on Ethereum copied over, including NFTs. You got NFTs? Getting them over there for free. Everything, yeah. Everything Hex said, yeah, that'll be over there in the Richard ecosystem. Now, the value is all dependent on what the market thinks the value is. So if they think it's really low value and you think later it will be more, that's a discount to you. If people think, oh, wow, this is worth something, I don't care about this, I'm selling it now. You got these two sides of the spectrum, and that's the market basically, but times whatever thousands of people are involved in the market decide. And it's constantly evolving marketplace. So I just like stuff that is immutable, or at least has a good track record with the devs who are behind it, and they are fulfilling a need that people want. Pulsechain is just Ethereum's extra space. It's like, hey, you like Ethereum? Boom. Over here, way better fees. It will probably build on top of that in the future. But just having an Ethereum that whenever we do get the bull run back, those fees are going to go up again. So I think a lot of people forget how bad it was and that why we needed Pulsechain in the first place. And it still fixes that. So the whole idea is still sound. It's a lot of like there was all that FUD of like, oh, it's just copy paste. Haha, I can't believe you fell for that. It's like, well, I still want to have a large percent of this awesome idea. It's like, oh, there's a great McDonald's over there, but it's full all the time. So you're like, kind of don't want to go in and get a burger today because it's just so busy. And then you're like, oh wait, there's a brand new McDonald's right over here. It's just the exact same stuff. You aren't like, oh, I don't like this McDonald's because it's easier to get in and cheaper to buy stuff here and less crowded. Like those are all benefits. It's just horizontal scaling, and I think Richard's right about that. Like there's so many things that you wouldn't think of would have made insano money for the people involved. A good example I think is like radio on the internet. It was like, we got radio. And then one guy was like, you know what? Radio is cool. That's a good idea. How about we just move that to the internet and see if people like it there as well?
Wow.
And then it worked. And then you become a billionaire. Congrats. The simplest stuff is so powerful. And everyone wants the new shiny thing, like, oh, this new crazy tech, and it does this and does that and does that. And then you're like, oh, what's all this? Attack surface or extra problems or encouraging trading and stuff. I mean, obviously Uniswap and stuff is like a breakthrough. It doesn't really encourage trading. It just kind of enabled peer-to-peer trading, which is legit. Like that's a miracle. That's new. That's new awesome tech. Like there's a lot of people in crypto on these centralized exchanges who don't even know better. They just buy the coins that people are like farming in DeFi for free, and then they sell it on the centralized exchanges on the noobs. Those people are going in and buying a coin that everyone else got for free, and they don't even know because they're in centralized land getting wrecked. It's so much better knowing about DeFi than not.